This is fascinating. In fact, this is so interesting and important that it's almost unfair that we're not told this much earlier. There is a guy called Herman Ponce, PhD, from Duke University. Herman is an evolutionary anthropologist. He's also one of the world's foremost metabolism researchers. He's written a book in 2021 on this topic, so this is current information. It's not like from the 70s. Also, one of the other characters in this story are the Hadza. This is a tribe in Tanzania, and there's still about 1,300 of these people, and they are the OGs, the original hunter-gatherer folks. These guys are literally, the guys in the tribe are literally wandering around shooting animals with bows and arrows and sticks and dragging them back to their family and eating them. Meanwhile, the women in the tribe are foraging around for berries and digging holes with sticks, and the kids are walking a mile that way with a bucket to get water to bring back to the proper hunter-gatherer activities. So Herman Ponce travels to Tanzania to study this tribe. You'd have to imagine, right, even without being there with Herman, you'd have to imagine that these guys are doing a fair bit of work. In fact, Herman found out that compared to a normal, sedentary American office worker, the Hadza people are 5 to 10 times more active. That seems reasonable. You'd then also assume, right, and this is the key, you'd have to assume that a bloke sitting at his keyboard like this, typing all day, is going to burn this many calories, whereas the Hadza would just be ripping through calories. That's not true. The Hadza are burning an average of 2,600 calories per day for men and 1,900 calories per day for women. And that, adjusted for weight and size and everything, is almost identical to the normal sedentary American office worker. American, Canadian, British, Australian office worker. Now, before you write this off as just one crazy study in Tanzania, there are 98 global studies that support this. In fact, people have studied primates in the wild versus primates in captivity. Same caloric consumption. Sheep that are in a pen versus sheep that are roaming free, same. Giant pandas in the wild versus in captivity, same caloric consumption. Now, isn't that interesting, right? I bet if you've ever attempted to manage your weight through exercise, you might have run 15,000 kilometers a day. Well, you might have run, you might have gone to the gym every day, and you might have thought that you were ripping through calories and just weight was just going to completely melt off of your body. But it didn't happen. And you might have been left wondering, what's going on? I'm just so much more active at the moment. Here are the numbers. 60% of your caloric consumption goes to just keeping the lights on, just running your body. In fact, it's called the metabolic process. That's liver, heart pumping, everything working properly. 20% of caloric consumption goes to keeping your brain active. Only 5% of caloric consumption is, for the normal person, going towards physical activity. So then, of course, the question becomes, okay, what about the Hadza, running around all day chasing animals, digging holes? What's going on with them? Well, the comparison is where it gets really interesting. You see, if we're just sitting at a keyboard all day tapping keys, our body still expends the same caloric consumption, but we use the calories for very different things, and in fact, harmful things. Our body does two things. I mean, it does many, many things, but it does two things that are of particular interest. It increases inflammation and it increases the number of stress hormones that we produce. And those are very caloric dense activity, as in they require a lot of calories. So our body has effectively a fixed caloric consumption. And I said before, it's 2,600 for men, 1,900 for women. And that's exactly the same whether you're sitting at a desk or you're chasing wildebeest. So how do we make sense of this for ourselves? Well, this is what's going on. If you become really active, your body doesn't burn more calories, it just allocates calories to that activity and allocates it away from harmful activities like stress hormones and inflammation. Exercise is about health, not weight loss. What you're doing is you're effectively burning calories on reducing inflammation, improving cardiovascular health, improving the health of your heart. And if you want evidence of that, what Herman found with the Hadza is they have no disease. Well, very little disease. They don't have heart disease. They don't have diabetes because their caloric consumption goes towards physical activity, not producing stress hormones and inflammation. That's the purpose of exercise. It's about health, not weight loss. Here are some numbers around that. And this is fascinating. If your attempt to lose weight is focused on going to the gym every day or running 100 kilometers every day, you could potentially lose an average of around 5 pounds or 2 kilograms. However, the secret is not in calories out, it's calories in. And if you carefully manage the calories that come into your body instead of the ones that you're trying to push out of your body, you can effectively reduce your weight by 20 pounds in 6 months. Not by exercise, but by managing the number of calories you put into your body. Here's a couple of cute phrases to capture a lot of this. Number one, you can't outrun a bad diet. Another one is your weight loss begins in the kitchen, not in the gym. I reckon that of all the people that are going to watch this video, there'll be a significant number that have got this myth buried inside their understanding of what exercise is all about. Well, I can eat this cake because I'm going to the gym tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. Your body is going to take in the calories from the cake, but it won't consume them through exercise. It's going to store them as fat no matter how much you exercise. What a different way of thinking. We don't go to the gym to burn off calories. We go to the gym to manage our health, not our weight. Some of you might actually be blaming the lack of results through exercise on your metabolism. But this is what Herman also discovered through his work with the Hadza. He discovered that our metabolic rate, that is the rate at which our metabolism burns through calories, doesn't change until we get to about 60 years old. And even at that point, it only reduces by about 0.7% every year. So by the time you're 70, your metabolism has only decreased by about 7% from the age of 60. So a slowing down of your metabolism as you get older is not really a factor. Certainly not until you get to the age of 60, and even then it's a very slow decline. So what do we do with this new understanding of how our calories, our metabolism actually works? Well, there's two things that we can take away from all of this. And firstly, let me just make it really clear that I'm not your coach. I'm not suggesting that you need to lose weight. What you do with this information is entirely up to you. But the first thing is this. We exercise for our health, for our cardiovascular health, for our mental health. We don't exercise for weight loss. If weight loss is of interest to you, if you feel like that's important, there is in fact a formula that can help you to lose weight. It's simply about managing the number of calories in versus the calories out. And this video would become very long if I was to take the time to explain all of that. So instead, we've actually created this really nice looking PDF that contains all the information from this video, but also the information for anyone that's interested in losing weight in a really reliable, consistent way and in a manner that's actually going to keep the weight off forever. Now, it's completely free and you can simply find the link just down below this video. Please go and have a look at that. It's really nicely formatted, it looks great, and it's full of really good information. And like I said, it's totally free. I just think this information is so important, it's so fascinating, and I truly believe that we should have been given this information a lot earlier. It would have helped a lot of people who've just been banging their head against a wall thinking, if I'm working so hard at the gym, if I'm running all this distance, why am I not losing weight? Well, this is why. This has been Low-TED. We are learning one thing every day because we know that if we want to be interesting, we're going to stay interested. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow.